If you have a Nintendo Switch, you don't need me to tell you that the absolute best feature going for it is the ability to take the same experience you get on the TV with you on the go. Or conversely, if you're always on the go, you can take that mobile experience and plug it back into your TV whenever you have the time. But the Switch is not the first to perfectly pull this off. Just hop in the Wabac Machine and turn the dial back. Well, yeah, there was the PlayStation Vita and Vita TV, one of Sony's most inelegant setups. There was also a cable to plug the older PSP right into the TV, but only if you had a D connector input, which if you're saying, what the frig is a D connector? Well, there you go. No, turn the dial back some more to 1990, the same year that Bart Simpson got crusty out of jail, and Violator by Depeche Mode was released. That same year gave the world the PC Engine GT, the best solution to playing the same games on or off the TV ever created, at least until March 3rd, 2017. Bart and DM never left us all that time either. The PC Engine GT is, bit for bit, a portable PC Engine, the game machine created by Hudson Soft and NEC that went head-to-head with Nintendo in the late 80s and early 90s. In America, the same hardware was called the TurboGrafx-16, which didn't fare as well as had been hoped. NEC really knew what they were doing when it came to manufacturing the PC Engine, keeping things small and compact. The success of the original PC Engine, which landed in October 1987, allowed NEC to invest further and release a cheaper revision, the Core Graphics, in 1989. NEC went one step further and was able to shrink things down to a case that was about twice as fat as the Game Boy, adding a color screen and playing all the same games, called Hue cards that fit easily in your pocket. The GT came with a 2.6-inch screen in full color. The fact that you could play games like PC Genjin, Galaga 88, Kato-chan and Ken-chan, or Bomberman on the GT was mind-blowing. Longer games like Newtopia had a password system, so you could always continue in the place you left off. So if you had a PC Engine, you already had a big library for your GT. And believe me, you'd need to hang on to that money because the GT sold for 45,000 yen, about $350 US back then. But like the saying goes, you get what you pay for. Despite the unreal price tag, the GT sold over 1.5 million units in Japan, over 10% of the PC Engine user base. I'll just put it this way, in Japan, before the bubble burst, you could sell anything at any price. If it was fairly novel and had "Made in Japan" stamped on the box, people would line up and buy it and drop that money without batting an eyelash. A far cry from how things are today. Okay, so enough about that. Why is it called the GT anyways? The G stands for game, and the T for television, because it could do both. Add the TV tuner and watch all your favorite Japanese shows about eating and shopping, anywhere you could get a signal. The US got their own version of the GT, rebranded the Turbo Express, at the dead-on-arrival price of $249, with no games included. Yikes. To make things worse, the price actually went up for a while, because all those parts inside suddenly got more expensive. To compensate, NEC offered free games, which was a pretty sweet deal. Still, with the microscopic user base of the TurboGrafx-16 and the giant upfront cost, the Turbo Express basically went unnoticed, only to be remembered when you took that trip to Babbage's and gawked at all those non-Nintendo, non-Sega oddities you couldn't find anywhere else. The price eventually fell to $199, boosting overall sales to $27. Back in Japan, a more deluxe version came out in 1991, the PC Engine LT, selling for 100,000 yen, about $900 US. The LT had a larger screen and a built-in TV tuner, and second controller port. It did not use batteries, requiring external power. The GT and the Express had the shortest life of the big four portables, about 3.5 years. NEC had slowly moved away from the Hue card format, embracing CDs, which were cheaper to make and could hold infinite data. Okay, not infinite, but enough to hold several thousand Hue cards, that's for sure. By 1993, in Japan and America, the way to play was the Duo, which ran cards and CDs. Bonk 3 in the summer of '93 in the US, and Formation Soccer in January '94 in Japan were the end of the line as CD games marched on. But there was one final hurrah and possible feather in the cap for the PC Engine GT, because Capcom released Street Fighter II Championship Edition on a Hue card in June 1993. Somewhat lost in the deluge of Street Fighter II home releases, it was only the second one released at the time, and one of the better versions out there. Certainly, if you had a long commute, I can't think of a better game to play. Now, just because new games ended didn't mean you had to throw your GT or Express away. Used games, especially in Japan, could keep someone happy for a long time, and the TV tuner gave the GT a second life. However, don't forget that old axiom: Father Time is undefeated. And even the TV tuner met its fate when analog signals were switched off in the 21st century. June 12, 2009 in the US, and July 24, 2011 in Japan. But thank the Lord NEC was so forward-thinking, because the TV tuner had RCA inputs, which means there is still a little bit of functionality left. All you have to do is hook up your Duo to the TV tuner, and you can take eSpook 1 and 2, Cosmic Fantasy 3, or Sapphire with you on your next camping trip. Better pack an extension cord or generator though.